Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Legacy Finance Committee meeting to order. We're going to start off by taking roll. Good morning, Ms. Lihert. Well, I did it again. Ms. Hirsch, please go ahead with our roll.
Good morning, Chair Lillie.
Lillie, present.
Lillie, present. Vice Chair Jordan.
Present.
Representative Jordan, present. Representative Green. Representative Green. I'll try one more time because I just admitted him. Representative Green.
Here.
Green, here. Rep. Acomb.
Present.
Acomb, present. Representative Anderson.
Anderson, present.
Anderson, present. Representative Bowe.
Present.
Bowe, present. Representative Christensen.
Present.
Christensen, present. Representative Hassan.
Present.
Hassan, present. Representative Murphy.
Murphy, present.
Murphy, present. Representative Nelson.
Present.
Nelson, present. Representative Erdahl.
Present.
Erdahl, present. Representative Wazlawik.
Present.
Wazlawik, present. And Representative Jay Zhang.
Present.
Zhang, present.
Thank you. We have a quorum, and so we're open for business. Representative Jordan, would you be willing to move the minutes from our March 3rd meeting, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move the minutes from March 3rd.
Thank you. Any questions regards to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? We have the minutes are approved. So, well, good morning, everyone. We're going to start off with one of our biggest bills of the year. 1/3 of our money goes to the outdoor heritage and we have this Lassard Sams committee that does a lot of work throughout the entire year, and we're also we have one of the representatives with us today that's going to be has been on the committee and doing the work all along with them. But first, I'm gonna move House File 634 be laid over for possible inclusion, and so that's the motion that's before us today. And so with this, we'd like to welcome Representative Becker-Finn, and it's kind of a neat place that she's at. She's a true outdoors person, and I see a lot of her Twitter. She's got out fishing with the kids, or maybe chasing the deer in the woods and all those things. But and that's much of the work that's done in this committee. So good morning, Representative Becker-Finn, and please start us off and then introduce your testifier, or how you want to go.
All right, thank you, Chair Lillie. The first thing, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Chair, if you could move the A2 amendment. It's just a technical author's amendment. If we could get that taken care of off the bat, that would be great. Thank
you. That's a great suggestion. Like to move the A2 amendment. Any questions regards to the A2 amendment? It is just a technical amendment, and I'm sure the author will include it. It's when we get going. I don't see any questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? We have your amended bill before us, and
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Lillie. And as you mentioned, I have served on the Outdoor Heritage Council. I've been the House DFL member on the Outdoor Heritage Council last biennium, and am starting my 3rd year on the council this year. Good morning, everybody. It's a very busy week, but I'm happy to be back in front of you today to present the 2021 Outdoor Heritage Fund Appropriation Bill. This bill, as introduced, reflects the recommendations of the Outdoor Heritage Council Council with nearly $128 million appropriated to projects throughout the state. I know that Mr. Johnson and myself have been in front of you already this year with last year's Outdoor Heritage Fund bill. And so I won't go as in depth because I know, you already have an idea of what we do on the Outdoor Heritage Council, but just to remind folks, the duty of the Outdoor Heritage Council is to make recommendations about how to spend those funds, which, as Chair Lillie mentioned, is a third of the legacy funds. And we are tasked with focusing on protecting, restoring, and enhancing habitat for game, fish, and wildlife. And so that is our role. The council is made up of members of the public who are appointed, as well as legislators, similar to our other councils. And really, we have interesting backgrounds of different folks as far as their direct experience with hunting and fishing and those things that are protected for us in the Minnesota Constitution. But it's a good group, and we put in many hours over the course of the year in vetting these projects. My only regret with this bill is that there really isn't. I wish I could take you all on a field trip to see some of the things and see some of the projects, because it's just I've always found it sort of impossible to get across how impactful this can be and what it means to restore a prairie. You kind of have to walk in that prairie when things are in bloom and see the pollinators and see the wildlife and see the impact. But we have projects throughout the state, and if you look at the spreadsheet that was provided, it's as always it is in the categories of prairies, forests, wetlands, and then habitat projects. And also, if you're able to bring up the handouts on your computer in color, they're much better than when you print them out. But there are some maps there and spreadsheets that are that list all the projects. And with that, Mark Johnson, the executive director of the council, is here, and he has some testimony as well. But those are the basics of the bill, and I will let Mark share a little bit from his end.
Thank you, Representative Becker-Finn, and thank you for your work. I know it's having served on there, and it's a great committee. Mr. Johnson, thank you. Welcome. You're doing a great job over there as well, running this program. Please begin when you're ready, sir. Welcome back.
Mr. Chair, thank you. And members, good morning to all of you. Thanks for having us here. Mr. Chair, as the Representative Becker-Finn had mentioned, there are citizens and legislators on the Outdoor Heritage Council. And actually, I was just thinking about yourself, Representative Erdahl, Representative Murphy, and are all past members of the council. Representatives Hansen, Fabian, McNamara, and I'm probably missing somebody else who are past members. So there's a lot of knowledge of what happens within the council's deliberations on these recommendations within all of your colleagues. And of course in the Senate, the same thing. So we thank you for being able to share that knowledge as you can. In a nutshell, this bill, it's a big bill. It's $127 million, and it is big each year. It's a cumulative, I should say, of the recommendations of the Lessard-Sams Outdoor Heritage Council. And the reason behind those recommendations is that statute charges the council to come to the legislature with recommendations for funding from the Outdoor Heritage Fund. Part of the reason for that is to make sure that there is some vetting that happens along the way so that each of the proposals can really be looked at with scrutiny. Each year we put a RFP out in the spring. It's published each spring on April 1st and ends the end of May. This last year we received 48 proposals for about $315 million worth of requests. The council from that whittled it down to 45 proposals, as you see, for $127 million in recommendations for funding. And I can get back into that in a little bit. Well, actually, maybe I should now, but Each proposal, what you should know is that each proposal has been examined by the council and by the staff. And each proposal is then ranked based on criteria, 10 different criteria that the council has set. So it's a very uniform ranking system. And then from there are hearings held each summer where all of the proposals are heard from and questioned. And then, of course, more deliberations and discussions. And finally, the recommendations come together and they are agreed upon by the entire council. This set of recommendations was a unanimous agreement by the council. There may have been discussions along the way where they weren't quite unanimous on this appropriation should get this much and this much. But overall, the entire package then was unanimously approved by the council. All of those meetings and all of those deliberations are public because of the open meeting law. They are all recorded, they're all televised and or streamed live, so the public can watch them and the participants can be active and engaged. And it's a long, about a 6-month process of just reviewing and refining. So that's the main thing there is to let you know this doesn't happen overnight. It's not a bunch of willy-nilly projects laid in front of you. Structurally, the bill as it is before you is about 30 pages. The first 28 pages are funding recommendations. And those funding recommendations are broken down into categories, which in your packets or online for you was this piece of this handout. The back page of it has a summary of the bill as it lays out. And you can see how those categories come out, where the first is prairies, and then you're looking at forest appropriations or proposals, wetlands, and then habitat, and then administrative. On page 28 of the bill, it changes. Then it goes into carry forwards. And there are 8 recommended carry forward extensions that the council has recommended for approval. Those extensions are to 8 different previous appropriations. And the reason for the extensions are all COVID related. Is because of the delays of COVID, pardon me, the delays that the COVID situation has laid upon many. And I'm sure in the future there will be more COVID related extensions requested. And then on page 29, it gets into some clarifying language, which you can have your legal staff go in more detail, but it's clarifying language to 97A.056, subdivision 10. And kind of in a nutshell, what that clarifying language does, it just allows us to make sure that we don't pay for protection twice. It's only paid for once, and provide some extra sideboards there. So, Mr. Chair, I can go through the individual areas of the bill, but if you'd like, but on this, if you could just, I'll mention a few things within it. And each year, there's a lot of work that happens with the bill. There's just about 100,000 acres of habitat work that will happen through this bill alone. 96,871 acres, 81 miles of stream shore that will be protected, restored, or enhanced, or shoreline, I should say. And that could be lake shore, it could be streams, rivers, etc. There are 25 different organizations that are recipients within this. And you'll see some of those repeated in more than one, like the DNR is in more than one, and Bowser's in more than one, and so on, the Nature Conservancy and others. But there are 2 state organizations, 9 local units of government, which are primarily watershed districts or soil and water conservation districts, and 20 NGOs. There's a lot of partnership that happens in these, and a lot of collaborating between local units of government and nonprofits, and also our agencies as this moves forward, as the funds are spent and everything happens. 92% of the programs are actually continuing programs. They're continuing phases. And that is in large part because the council has reviewed them and says, all right, they're doing the right work. They're doing it as they say. They're doing it with good economic integrity. So we're going to recommend them for another phase of their project. On the inside, there's a lot of charts. And the main thing to remember is that in this is that on one side, you have as these, you have a look at how it happens from an acreage standpoint, how the funds are distributed through different areas of the state, through different ecological regions, which are represented here, but from an acre standpoint. Whereas on the other side of this, you're looking at from a funding standpoint. So that's really important to define in your own brain as you're going through this and looking at the charts. It'll help you to kind of link the two across and see, okay, we really have some good distribution. We have good integrity of where the funds are going, and we know what's happening. The big thing to remember here is that the work is very diverse. The majority of the acres that will be affected are through enhancement or restoration. But the majority of the dollars are not only in those two areas, because it's more expensive to acquire land than it is to enhance land. And it's more expensive to restore land than it is to enhance land also. Restoring basically means you're taking something where the habitat value has been lost and you're trying to bring back that original value to the habitat. And that costs a lot more than just doing a prescribed burn or some type of enhancement that will just enhance the habitat values that are already there. Mr. Chair, I know that you wanted to, you're keeping tight to a timeline. I'll just reserve for questions here at this point if you'd like.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And I definitely want to be able to get to questions. Representative Zhang, is yours a question or is it for your amendment?
It's for my amendment, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we're just going to wait for a few seconds. I'm going to go to Representative Green then. Representative Green, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I know that we go through this every year, and I'm not going to load you down with a bunch of questions. I just would like to point out some stuff, and then maybe I will ask Mr. Johnson a couple of questions. But for a long time, I've been trying to say the same thing. I think that the amount of land that's already in public ownership in Minnesota is more than sufficient. And if you look at the graphs, the pie charts that Representative Johnson, or excuse me, Mr. Johnson put up, and he did say that the best value is for enhancement. And you get 74% of the acres that are enhanced, but it only took 25% of the funds to enhance that 74% of the acres. So the best bang for the buck is to concentrate more on those efforts. Whereas you look at even the protect and easement, you know, which I also think is to put these things in permanent easement is dangerous for the future, because I've already got people coming in wanting me to sign on to bills that will reduce their property tax because they've got an easement now and they can't use the property after they put it into a conservation easement. And my response is generally, you signed the paper, you know, take care of it yourself. That's what you did. The other thing I want to point out is that, and this is something that I know that Mr. Johnson has tried to answer in the past, but I still don't think it's clicking right for me, where you've got the NGOs, and the NGOs, non-government organizations, for those who don't know, and that is like your Pheasants Forever and the other entities like that. But over the course of this, of the legacy funds, Pheasants Forever has actually bought, with legacy funds, about 14,500 acres. And in the notes on that, it says that Pheasants Forever purchases land to convey to U.S. Fish and Wildlife and federal government for the use of waterfowl protection areas. And the question is, why are we running this through other entities if the land is going to be given to the federal government anyway? And in a lot of cases, then we don't get the PILT, and we've just signed over parts of Minnesota to the federal government.
Mr. Johnson, did you hear the question?
Yes, I did, Mr. Chair. Thank you. And actually, there are just as an example, Pheasants Forever, those lands, that 14,500, are only the lands that are without PILT. So in other words, there's no PILT liability to those lands that they have acquired. In those cases where those lands are transferred to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, there's still a notice of funding restriction applied to those because they're through outdoor heritage funds. And so the feds have to manage them in a way that's for habitat. But the feds don't pay payment in lieu of taxes. They do something different. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service actually provides an upfront payment to the counties toward taxes on those parcels, and then they also do I think they call it a revenue sharing, which ends up being some other funds later potentially to the county. So it's more upfront. It's not a payment in lieu. It's a different system that the feds are on. I don't believe it comes to as high of an amount as payment in lieu does that the state pays for PILT funds, PILT lands, but it is a program of reimbursement for those taxes from the feds. And I think that answered that question, Mr. Chair.
Representative Becker-Finn, did you have something to this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I did want to note for the record that, all of these projects are willing sellers. The organizations that come forward with these projects put a lot of work into building the relationships and getting to know these communities. And so I think there is value in that. And for some folks, it is those relationships can be built easier when it's dealing with an NGO that they trust, like Pheasants Forever, Conservation Minnesota, and I don't want to sort of give folks the idea that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's really helpful to have these organizations who already have that trust built and are doing that relationship building on the ground with potential sellers.
Representative Green.
Well, thank you for those answers. I didn't really get an answer to my question on why you're going through the NGOs from Mr. Johnson, but if I'm taking the comments right from Representative Becker-Finn, they run them through the NGOs because the people don't trust the government. And so if you're going to run it through an NGO so you can turn the land back over to the government, that's probably a reason why they don't trust the government. But so the bottom line is we've got about a third of our state now is in public hands. And we are constantly talking about workforce housing and how expensive housing is and how expensive land is, what is happening to our property taxes. And I tell folks, if you want to look at this in a pragmatic way, think about it. If someone took away a third of your income and said, now go pay your bills. And that's what we're doing to a lot of our counties that are 37% public owned, 25% public owned, or in some cases, much, much more than that. And so I think there's a lot to be said for going back to the enhancement part of this, and even the permanent conservation easements. And as far as the willing seller goes, I've discussed this many times. If some, and a lot of times, and they'll tell you that they don't outbid private people, but they do. I can bring many people that will come in and say they've tried to buy land, and the state will come in, or Pheasants Forever will come in and outbid them on the property. So it's not just a question of having the willing seller. We are responsible, and we are the managers of this. And at some point, you have to say how much is enough. I've never gotten any answer that says this is how much we want. We're not going to go any further than this. It's just continue to buy more all the time. So with that, I will wait until the other amendments come up. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Green. Representative Erdahl? Then I'd like to get through this and then get on to the amendment, and out of respect.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Johnson, just wondering, what type of land is it that's being acquired by the state? Is this generally farmland or what type of land?
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chair and Representative Erdahl, good question. It really depends on the area of the state. In most cases, it's not good farmland. Sometimes it is good farmland. In other cases, it's forest land. For instance, there's some, it may be forest land that's going to be turned over to the county and maintained in forest, or owned by the state and maintained in forest, or it may be easements. But in general, it's land that will be restored to habitat. So if there is farmland, if it's something, say in Martin County or wherever it might be, Martin County is one of those areas where there's a proposal in this bill, and there may be farmland alongside of a WMA, a wildlife management area, and within that farmland there may be drained wetlands that will then, if it's acquired, will then be restored, and the whole parcel will be returned back to native prairie or native prairie species and restored wetland. The project managers try not to target anything from I believe I can say this, they try not to target private farmland because people don't want to sell it, number one. Number two, it's expensive. So we're looking at what's going to be the best habitat use and what's going to be the easiest to bring back to habitat, and then it kind of works from there. But again, it's only from willing sellers.
Thank you. Representative Anderson? Sorry. Representative Erdahl, go ahead.
Thank you, Representative Lillie. And I don't expect that, Mr. Johnson, that you have these figures, but it would be very interesting at some point to know, in terms, since we started Legacy and began acquiring land, and with the thought that PILT doesn't necessarily make up the entire cost of the property taxes lost, what has been the impact to local governments, to counties, as far as tax collection is concerned, since we started Legacy? So I don't imagine you have any idea. If you do, I appreciate some type of answer, but otherwise maybe something that we could look at in the future.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Representative Earl, that's a very interesting question, and there's a lot of details to it. I'll do my best. We'll dig into it a little bit and see what we can figure out.
Thank you.
Representative Anderson and Murphy, and then we got to get on to the amendment. And thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thanks, Chair Lillie. Just carrying on what Representative Green was going down the street, and I won't belabor this to a great extent, but it just amazes me that we provide state taxpayer dollars to NGOs to purchase land, and in this case, they give it to the federal government with no assurance of any payments back to the counties really at all. I mean, it's not a certain set fee like PILT is. And I think that's where some of this concern comes in, that it just doesn't seem right to take all this land out of the private side and where they pay taxes and such. And we've often talked about counties passing no net loss type things of land, tax land, and then you got the thing about the willing sellers, and I get that, but I'd like to see a concept of no net loss of revenue for the counties and townships, in that if this land is purchased, whatever the tax base is at the time, it would remain that way, whether purchased by the state or given to the federal government. There needs to be some method of ensuring that the tax base, or at least the revenue, stays the same, to take away some of this distrust that we're losing so much tax base in these counties. And I think it really needs to be looked at and addressed for folks out in greater Minnesota. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Representative Murphy. I think your screen is frozen from what I'm seeing, but Representative Murphy? Okay, so thank you. And, when we do the bill later on, we do markup and put it together, we'll have more opportunities to talk. And I hope that you have, if you have questions, that you reach out to Mr. Johnson or to Representative Becker-Finn. It's interesting because, anyways, let's get to Representative Jung. You have an amendment A3. I wonder if you could tell us quickly about it and what you're trying to do. And go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an amendment that Representative Jamie Becker-Finn and I have been working on to better address equity in the Outdoor Heritage Fund, and I will yield to Representative Jamie Becker-Finn to explain it in more detail.
Thank you, Representative Zhang. Representative Becker-Finn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first, Mr. Chair, I want to thank you for holding the hearing earlier this session focused on diversity inclusion of BIPOC communities and our legacy funds. I think that was a really important conversation. And what it highlighted is there's room for improvement in better engagement and inclusion of these communities, especially when it comes to our outdoor heritage dollars. And given that $1.2 billion has already been appropriated from this fund, I think the need to address this lack of inclusion now is really important. And so I do want to be clear that acknowledging that there's room for improvement does not mean the work up to now has been bad, just that we can do better and we should do better. And so following the release of the February forecast numbers, we learned that additional dollars could be allocated while still preserving a 10% reserve in the fund. So working with Representative Zhang and others, we recognize that these dollars presented a really good opportunity to improve things in this year's bill. And so what the A3 does is first, it tops off the CPL small grant program with an additional $590,000. That would be, when I say it tops off, what their ask was of what their capacity and their ask was. And second, it allocates $3 million to the DNR's No Child Left Inside grant program, specifically for programs that provide training and education to youth in the practical implementation of conservation practices that protect, restore, and enhance wetlands, prairies, forests, and habitat for fish, game, and wildlife. And real quickly, for members who are not familiar, the No Child Left Inside grant program was a bipartisan effort started 2 years ago that has been massively successful in providing opportunities for youth throughout the state who would otherwise not have those opportunities. And the DNR has successfully administered this small grant program to get dollars out to environmental learning centers, to nonprofits, to schools statewide. It's sort of like a CPL type program, but focused more on actually putting Minnesotans to work doing the on-the-ground conservation work with education and real skills that they can be utilized throughout their lives. And as we build the next generation of Minnesota's outdoor legacy. So that's the A3 amendment that Representative Zhang and I have been working on.
Thank you, Representative Becker-Finn and Representative Zhang. I see some questions. Representative Green, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to the testifier or the bill author, you're appropriating another $3 million to No Child Left Inside. First, how much is going toward that now? What will the total be if this amendment goes on?
Thank you, Representative Green. Either one of you, Representative Becker-Finn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So right now, the No Child Left Inside program, there's sort of some different buckets within the No Child Left Inside program, and we're seeking those funds. So it was a one biennium funding piece there. So right now there isn't anything going forward, knowing that we haven't finished the environment budget bill yet. But these funds would be specifically targeted at those on the ground conservation efforts. It's overall, it would be, so it would be a total of 3 million, which would be just 2% of the overall 2021 bill.
Representative Green.
Well, thank you for that, but I don't know that it really is an adequate answer. But the language in the amendment is really vague. You're calling the money for No Child Left Inside, but it looks like you're just going to be doing the same things that the rest of the bill is doing. So what are the programs? Is there programs out there right now that the DNR has that they're going to work with kids on, or is this just putting it out there and say do something?
Representative Becker-Finn. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Part of the beauty and the creativity of the No Child Left Inside program is that because they're small grants, we actually had an overwhelming demand for programs throughout the state. They actually closed taking applications in the first round of funding. So we know there is a demand out there, especially from our environmental learning centers that already have the experience in providing these kinds of programs and training and teaching people how to do this work themselves and how to bring that forward. So, there's all kinds of ways this could be expanded. And, I imagine there are programs statewide in all of our districts that would be able to make good use of these funds in protecting and restoring habitat.
Anything further, Representative Green?
Just a comment, yep. Mr. Chair, and then I'll be done. Thank
you, sir.
As far as all the people that are applying, if you've got a pot of money out there, somebody's going to apply for it. And $3 million is a lot of money without a definite plan. I think that this is a little much. I think that the program is just starting. It needs to be viewed more, see some results for what's going on. I think this is too much money in this amendment to be putting forth something that looks to be very vague.
Thank you, Representative Green. And we've heard some great testimony in this committee about like wilderness inquiry and river watch and working with the kids. And boy, it's just super exciting. Representative Erdahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And one of our responsibilities as legislators is to bring forth questions that are asked us of situations like this. So I do have a question. There's a concern that this that spending legacy money on training and education is inappropriate in this case. And the question is, does this supplant funding instead of supplementing? I guess the larger question that Representative Becker-Finn or maybe Mr. Johnson, I don't know, can answer is, does the DNR already have a program for this?
Representative Becker-Finn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, they do not.
Representative Erdahl.
Okay, well, that's an important thing to know. Just expressing a concern that someone had if this is proper use, and you should perhaps investigate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Erdahl. So I'd like to go to vote. Any questions in regards to the amendment? And we can certainly have more discussion as it comes forward or comes back again. And I don't see any further questions. All those in favor, please say aye. Or does it need to?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
So we have amendment is adopted. Representative Becker-Finn, any kind of a wrap up on your bill? Again, thank you for all your work on this. And of course, Mr. Johnson, your amazing work with your team. I know when people call your office, I know your team really steps up and helps. But Representative Becker-Finn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is the culmination of a lot of work, and it's really important. I think we just amended the bill. We made a good bill even better, and I think it's important that the community see us reacting when we learn there are ways that we could be better. And so I thank everybody for the discussion, and I also want to thank the public members of the council. They don't always get the credit for the long hours of very dense binders full of information that we all go through. And so I do want to thank them for their work and thank members for the discussion today, and would ask for your support. I understand you're laying it over, but appreciate everything today. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Becker-Finn and members. With that, I'll renew my motion that House File 634 as amended be laid over. Thank you, everyone, for that discussion. And again, my apologies for the briskness of this. I know it'd be nice to get into more and more detail. It's there's so much work, and please look into the folder. Representative Green and I were lucky enough to get a full packet, and if anybody would like to see one, I have one, and I could share it with you. So I'm going to move House File 1248 It's just so you know, it's a vehicle bill, and I'm just asking for your help today to get that to Ways and Means so that we have something that we can work for with the deadlines and everything. So I'm asking your indulgence if so anyways, is there any questions allowing me to do that? Representative Green, is that okay, sir?
I guess it's okay. Would it matter if it wasn't?
Well, no, no, yeah, I would, yes, sir. But I need your help, so thank you for. Seeing no discussion, I renew my motion that House File 1248 be re-referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. Clerk, could you take Ms. Hirsch, could you take the roll, please?
I sure can. Chair Lillie.
The chair votes aye. Thank you.
Vice Chair Jordan.
Aye.
Sorry, Lillie, aye. Jordan, aye. Representative Green.
Aye.
Green, aye. Representative Acomb.
Aye.
Acomb, aye. Representative Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Representative Bowe.
Bowe votes aye.
Bowe, aye. Representative Christensen.
Aye.
Christensen, aye. Representative Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Representative Murphy.
Aye.
Murphy, aye. Representative Nelson.
Aye.
Nelson, aye. Representative Erdahl.
Aye.
Aye. Representative Wazlawik.
Aye.
Wazlawik, aye. And Representative Zhang.
Aye.
Zhang, aye.
So do we know the vote total?
13-0.
So with 13-0, the bill passes. Thank you, and thank you for your help on that. And so on to Representative Wazlawik. You're on our committee. Would you like to move your bill?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would move House File 1938 before the committee and to be held over for possible inclusion in our omnibus bill.
Thank you, Representative Wazlawik. Welcome to your committee, and excited to hear the Historical Society's story today. So please go ahead when you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House File 1938 is the Minnesota Historical Society's legacy funding request. The funding request is for a little over $48 million, and it's broken down into a few specific categories. Those are statewide historical and cultural heritage grants, statewide history programs, statewide history partnerships, statewide historical and archaeological sites, and the Minnesota Digital Library. And these are, as you can see from just the titles of those sections, the Historical Society is doing work all across the state with the funding they get from Legacy Amendment. And with that, I want to turn it over to our testifiers who will provide a little more information and detail on the work they've been doing in the funding request.
Thank you, Representative Wazlawik. Director Whitworth, welcome. Please go ahead when you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Chair Lillie. And thank you, Representative Wazlawik, for authoring the bill, and to both of you for your strong support and your deep interest in history. With me today, well, first of all, my name is Kent Whitworth, and I serve as the Director and CEO of the Minnesota Historical Society. Joining me today are my colleagues, David Kelleher, who is the Director of Public Policy and Governmental Relations, and Avi Vishwanathan, Director of Inclusion and Community Engagement at MNHS. We appreciate the privilege to testify this morning. And first and foremost, what I want to do is express our deep appreciation to both of you and the entire committee for your strong support for history programs and projects that are funded by the Legacy Amendments Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. I think all of you should have received a hard copy of the report. that we've provided to the governor and the state legislature for of our most recent funding. And that actually includes a wide range of historical and cultural grants awarded between July 1 of 2019 and December 31st of 2020. So hopefully you've had a chance to look at that, and this testimony will spur you to take a deeper look at that. I'd just like to touch on just a couple of highlights, sort of at the 50,000 foot level, if you will. I'd like to point out that there is 100% return on investment. For every dollar of legacy history funds invested, Minnesota receives a return on investment of $2, which directly benefits not only the state economy, but local economies as well. And I think David is going to probably go to that slide that hits a few of these highlights. I'd also like to point out that we've passed the milestone of awarding more than 2,800 grants in the life of the program, and that totals more than $58 million. And those grants have gone to every single county in the state. I would point out, though, in that gold circle, that the demand for historical and cultural heritage grants outweighs the funds that we're able to direct toward that, almost 2.5 to 1. So anyway, there's a great need out there. I'd point out that if we were meeting in person and we're not working through the pandemic, joining us, not maybe necessarily testifying, but in the room in support of this presentation would be our colleagues that comprise the Minnesota History Coalition. That's more than a dozen organizations bulleted here on the screen. And later in the presentation, we will reinforce the recommendation that was presented and Representative Wazlawik bill. But with that, I will hand off to my colleague, David Kelleher, and you'll see me a little bit later in the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitworth, and welcome, Mr. Kelleher. Go ahead when you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, I'm David Kelleher with the Minnesota Historical Society, and I'd like to add my thanks and our thanks to your work and the work of the committee to help out with history through the legacy amendment. So what I'm going to do is, and we're going to do, is take a very quick walk through the different sections of the bill, the funding areas that Representative Wazlawik described in her overview of the bill, which you can see on this chart. And Mr. Chair, if we go back to the language in the Constitution, it says that one of the purposes of the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund is to preserve Minnesota's history and cultural heritage. And we've been excited for 12 years that the words "to preserve Minnesota's history" are in the state constitution. So the Constitution also provides for appropriations by the legislature, and this is how you have organized in conversation with the history community the funds that go to fulfill that part of the Constitution to preserve Minnesota's history. And there are basically 5 different sections, as Representative Wazlawik outlined. The grant section, which I'll talk about next, statewide programs that are operated by the Minnesota Historical Society that Kent will talk about, statewide partnerships, and the statewide survey of archaeological and historic sites, and then the Minnesota Digital Library. So we will make a very quick pass through each of those areas and describe how they work. They each work a little bit differently, have different mechanisms for deciding on projects and doing the work, and then who does the work, because this is a partnership between the Minnesota Historical Society and the many, really hundreds of different organizations that do this work. So I will start out with, if this moves forward, there we go. Here's a quick look at the amounts of dollars in each of those categories that were appropriated in the current biennium. You can see FY20 and FY21 for each of those categories, just as a quick reminder. I'll start with the grants program, and this is a competitive grants program. It's open to anyone, and it's reviewed by a citizen review committee, the Historic Resources Advisory Committee, that is is spelled out in the appropriation legislation for these legacy funds. We call it the HRAC for short. And these are wonderful volunteers who help us sort through. As Kent mentioned, over the life of the Legacy Amendment, we've now had 2,800 grants that have gone to all 87 counties. And these are for things like history programs, taking care of collections, the museum environments in which collections and exhibits live, and then preserving historic structures. Those grants are broken up into small and large, less than 10,000 and over 10,000. The small grants are available 3 or 4 times per year, and the large grants are available once a year. There's a lot of work to review those, so we do those just once a year to give our HRAC volunteers a break to only do that once. Here's some quick examples. In southeastern Minnesota, the Wasioja recruiting station received some funding. That was a Civil War recruiting station in a small town near Rochester. And then, of course, on the other end of the state, the William Irvin needed some serious work to be restored. And you can see by the individuals standing in front of the boat, these dollars provide jobs for preserving historic structures, and then the folks in the history organizations doing the work. It's a really important way to help our economy across the state. I mentioned the HRAC. This is a 15-member volunteer panel, and they make recommendations to our governing board, the executive council that makes final decisions on grants. The membership is outlined of who should be on this committee representing different disciplines across the history and history-related fields. And in 2020, HRAC members volunteered more than 500 hours. They spend a lot of time reading the applications online before the meeting, and then they spend 2 days deliberating. As Kent mentioned, they have twice as much in requests as dollars available, so they have to make some hard decisions on which ones get recommended. It's a paperless application system, so we're trying to be efficient in how we do this. Mr. Chair, in previous times, this group got together and spent a couple of days at the History Center in the auditorium. In the last fiscal year, they managed to do this online, and they had a Zoom meeting, and it was tough work. You guys are getting used to doing that, but we really salute our wonderful volunteers who have done that work. And Mr. Chair, I would invite you, members of the committee and staff, if we're able to have this year's HRAC committee in person, to stop by and sit in on the HRAC meeting for a little bit and see how they do their work. You'll see that some of the dynamics of decision making are similar to the other councils in the legislature itself. So they're a great bunch of people doing this work. A couple of examples. Exhibits really bring a lot of things together. They bring together community identity. They bring together collections. So Lyon County and Golden Valley were a couple of recipients of legacy grants recently. And of course, another recipient is everyone's favorite Opera House. It has received several competitive grants. And what's really been great about this project is they've done a little bit at a time. They're a volunteer group, as you've heard, and they didn't try to do it all at once. They worked it in phases, which is very practical and very, very smart to do. So we've been there to visit several times and enjoy visiting every time with our gracious host. In your report, there are a couple of maps that show where those grant funds have gone across the state. And what's interesting too is that there are 87 county historical societies, and those organizations are the foundation of our local history network. But 873 different organizations have received grants. And that means that organizations that you wouldn't think of as traditional history organizations are applying for these funds to preserve their own history or do work in their community to share the history and preserve it as they consider this is important. $58 million have been awarded since 2009, and the demand far out exceeds the dollars available. So I'll turn it back to Kent to talk about MNHS programs statewide.
Thank you, Mr. Kelleher and Mr. Wentworth.
Thank you, Chair Lillie. I want us to, no pun intended, zoom back up to 50,000 feet if we could. And I'd like to present the strategic priorities for the organization. These were adopted in 2017. And obviously, David's talked a lot about our stewardship of historical resources of all shapes and sizes, educational relevance, that intersection between the past and the present, and making sure that we're communicating that to K-12 audiences and lifelong learners. Inclusion and diversity is very much a priority, and we aspire for inclusion and diversity to really become a core function at MNHS. And then we continue to wrestle with the notion of sustainability, making sure that the model we've got in place is sustainable going forward. So that's somewhat of a high-level backdrop for a little more detail about these various grant programs and then statewide and partnership programs. And I'll go to the next slide, which is our mission. And we talk about the power of history and the power of history being used to transform lives. And that finds expressions in several key and core functions: preservation, sharing that history, and then making deep and lasting connections with individuals and organizations and communities across the state. So that is the kind of the high level perspective that frames everything we do with legacy funding. We go to the next slide. We'll talk just briefly about some of the preservation work that we do. Newspapers are core to our collections, and frankly, we've got one of the strongest digital newspaper programs in the country. It's a model both regionally and nationally. You can see a few of the other bullets where legacy funds are used to provide these statewide programs, and they include archaeological collections, oral histories, as well as Native American collections. And at this point, I'll reintroduce our colleague, Avi Vishwanathan, who is our Director of Inclusion and Community Engagement, to talk about a few more of these programs. Avi?
Thank you, Mr. Whitworth and Mr. Vishwanathan. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but thank you. My apologies, but thank you very much for coming, and go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Avi Vishwanathan, and I'm the Director of Inclusion and Community Engagement with the Minnesota Historical Society. As Kent had mentioned earlier, the second part of our mission, as you saw on the slide earlier, is sharing. And I'm going to take a few minutes here to just talk about some of the ways in which we share history through our legacy funds. David earlier had mentioned and showed some examples of exhibits that we've supported through other partners, and I'm going to walk through a couple of the exhibits that we have at the History Center. And so first here in this image, we have the Then, Now, Wow exhibit, which is a great way for our younger Minnesotans to come and experience history and see what history and what the state was and is right now, and to be able to see the path through. We try and support and have supported both cultural institutions and cultural communities through these exhibits as well. And Dave, if you can go to the next slide. As an example, the exhibit on First Avenue, a cultural icon in this state, and something that has been home to and helped Minnesotans connect with a number of iconic Minnesotans as well. And so this is an example of a cultural institution, but we also have supported and connected with and helped share the stories of cultural communities, including the Hmong community, an exhibit that was at the History Center a few years ago, and also the exhibit that we had in the Somali community to, again, highlight cultural communities and to highlight different Minnesotans who are part of this state. Right now, our newest exhibit is the Our Home exhibit, featuring stories and artifacts of Native communities. There's a beautiful star quilt right there that I'm going to discuss in just a minute. But the main theme of Our Home is for Native communities to share artifacts and history, and to name the theme, We're Still Here. To speak a little bit about the thread, the star quilt, David, you can go to the next slide. I can talk about a couple of the artifacts in this particular exhibit. Here's some more examples and people interacting with the exhibits and with the artifacts. And the star quilt there, it's stitched together to show the connections that Native Americans have both with each other and with the sky. And each of the stars' 8 points represent a member of Gwen Westerman, who is the artist who created that, Gwen Westerman's family. And the military uniform that you see there, that was of Shirley Quentin Red Boy, who enlisted in the Army in 1940. He served in the All-Native Company B of the 163rd Infantry 41st Division, where he and his friend Herman Red Elk were recruited to send official messages in Dakota. He received a number of medals, which you can see there on the uniform for his service, and was a lifelong member of the Native American Veterans Association, Wolf Point. That particular artifact is on loan from the Smithsonian, but it's another example of sharing Native artifacts and Native stories in our community. I'm going to talk a little bit now about some of the ways in which we connect. Again, the third part of that mission is about connecting. And we have a number of ways that we've connected with communities across this state to support understanding and development of history. And you can see there, curriculum development and educator support is some of that, supporting field trips. I'm going to talk a little bit more about diversity and outreach, and in particular, some of the fellows programs that we have that help introduce people into the field. Our fellowship programs and actually our youth engagement, this is actually another image of the Then Now Wow exhibit, again, where youth can connect with the different stories. And this specifically is an example of Minnesota's mining history, which is part of the Then Now Wow exhibit. But we also have and support a number of fellowship programs for individuals to learn about Minnesota history, conduct research, and to understand and examine the fields of public history and historic preservation. And sometimes that starts with youth engaging with our exhibits. We've had programs that support high school and college internships. And we have a couple of fellowship programs. One is the History Museum Fellowship Program, which is for undergraduate students, where people have coursework through their university, but also do an internship or fellowship program with the Historical Society, where their work is around conducting research in historic topics in Minnesota that they are interested in and have importance to our state. That program, we have that program, and then we also have the Native American Undergraduate History Museum Fellowship, which is a program very similar, but works specifically with Native communities. In addition, we have a Heritage Studies and Historic Preservation program, which is for graduate students who are looking to go deeper into the field, and for them to, again, conduct a fellowship or internship experience as part of that program, where they are doing a little bit more in-depth research. We've had a number of people who go through all those phases, who experience the History Center, our historic sites, who are part of the History Museum Fellowship Program, and then actually go on into the Heritage Studies program and then enter the field. Several members of my team, the Department of Inclusion and Community Engagement, have gone through the fellowship program before becoming staff. Some people have gone on to other great things, working in other parts of the state government, included in that. And there's histories that are told and uncovered that a lot of people didn't know about. There was a great research project, an oral history project around Lake Adney up in Crow Wing County, which was something that the history of African Americans building cabins and having that be a space for themselves outside of the cities and traveling there was a history that I think a lot of people didn't know about, but was researched on as part of this program. David, you can go to the next slide also. And this is a picture of fellows from a few years ago visiting Mille Lacs. We want to make sure that the fellows have experience and connect with the different historic sites around the state as well. And I mentioned Lake Adney as a place. And so I also want to mention that the fellows work together and learn about, as part of their programs, other aspects of Minnesota history as well. Am I hitting it? Am I hitting it back to?
Yes, you are.
Sorry.
Thanks, Avi.
Thank you, sir. Great stories. Mr. Wentworth?
Thank you, Chair Lillie. Let's touch briefly on the history partnerships, another aspect of how these legacy funds are put to good use. But I'd like to pause while we're talking about the partnership category and just briefly acknowledge the testimony that the committee received and that is included in today's committee materials. There are some very strong words and some strong accusations in that testimony, and I think they are highly misleading and frankly inaccurate. We will respond more fully in writing in the near future, and we're happy to answer questions about that today if you like. So I'll just touch very briefly on two partnerships. You see the image of National History Day, which, like everything else in our lives, pivoted into a virtual format. But that history partnership around National History Day is, again, one of the finest and strongest in the country. And we worked very closely with the University of Minnesota on that project, as well as with libraries across the state and certainly local school systems. I also want to touch, and David, if you'll go to the next slide, I'll talk just briefly about the Northern Bedrock partnership. And I think you've heard some about that. Here are a few images of these young adults who are developing preservation skills and techniques that are then applied to projects all across the state. But I think that frankly, that Northern Bedrock partnership is a perfect example of what these partnership programs and grant-funded projects look like. And once again, I keep pointing, but so many of these programs are regional and national models, and we're very proud. And obviously, this also impacts communities all across the state and equips young people with skills that they can put to work and future careers. So with that, I believe I'm going to hand back to David Kelleher, Mr. Chair, and let him wrap things up.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kelleher.
We'll wrap up quickly with the last couple of areas of the funding structure for history legacy. The statewide survey of historical and archaeological sites provides a foundation of knowledge of what's out there. There certainly have been many studies done over time in the archaeology field, and this ongoing project allows us to look at specific geographic areas or specific thematic topics to take a look back at what we know and compile what we know. One great example is there was a book written in 1970 about ceramics, and there certainly have been a lot of ceramic work done in the state over time. This project will reevaluate what we know, catalog, and update the new knowledge that has come about from scholarship since 1970. And that's just one of many, many examples of the archaeological survey. The Minnesota Digital Library is a collaboration between Minnesota Historical Society, Minitex, and other partners. And this is an effort to digitize information that is available in county historical societies and other organizations. It's photos, it's maps, it's letters, it's various other archival material. And Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if the gentlemen in this image are playing hockey or bandy, but they look like they're serious about what they're doing, and like we all do, they're celebrating winter. Mr. Chair, a couple other examples from Minnesota Digital Library, maps of the Duluth Superior area, and you could just get lost in looking at maps like that about what things looked like years ago. And then reflections of our culture, the Lakeside Ballroom in Glenwood, where some famous people played, and we have some representation of that part of our history, musical and cultural history, available for people to look at and understand the past. Mr. Chair, back to the bill that's before you, House File 1938. As Kent mentioned, the Minnesota History Coalition is the group of organizations that do this work, and this group gets together from time to time to review what the structure looks like and what the funding level should look like. And here is our request for the 23 biennium. This is based on the November forecast numbers. When we put this together, it was before the February forecast, so we can certainly look at that updated forecast and work with staff to update the numbers as needed. And this represents 33% of the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, which is a little bit more than we've historically received, but since the Constitution says to preserve Minnesota's history, we thought that a third of that is an appropriate number for all the great work that's happening around the state with our colleagues at the Minnesota Historical Society and our colleagues in the history field and others who are doing history who may not think of themselves as historians or traditional history organizations. So with that, Mr. Chair, we again thank you and the members of the committee and Representative Wazlawik for bringing this bill to your attention, and we are available for questions.
Thank you. Great presentation. Doing good work around the state. Representative Wazlawik, before we get to questions, any comments, or should just go to questions? Okay. Representative Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Testifier said that this is more than they've asked for in the past. What is the average of the asks that you've had in the past? Or maybe better yet, what is the smallest and what is the biggest ask, and what were you granted?
Mr. Kelleher.
Mr. Chair, Representative Green, the Minnesota History Coalition, the group of organizations, has traditionally asked for 1/3 of the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. The amount that's been appropriated has typically been around 25%, give or take. So 33% is our aspiration, but we haven't quite gotten there.
Representative Green, good question.
Thank you for that. I do have one question on the bill. It's a lot of money, and like always, I'm troubled by the vagueness of a lot of it. But on page 2, where you've got $625,000 each year for surveys. Now, do you have sites picked out for these surveys, first of all?
Mr. Kelleher?
Mr. Chair, Representative Green, as you can see in the legislation, there's an oversight board that's made up of the Minnesota Historical Society, Office of the State Archaeologist, the State Historic Preservation Office, Indian Affairs Council, and others who make the decision on that. And I know that they have a list of projects. I don't really have it at my fingertips, and we could certainly get back to you with some of the things that they would like to do in the future. But as mentioned, it's geographical areas that need some work to understand and catalog and document what's out there. So geographical areas and then topical areas of work that needs to be done for specific areas, like the ceramic example that I mentioned earlier.
Representative Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason I bring that up is because there's a lot of Native American sites out there. And when Enbridge was surveying their Line 3, they hired Native Americans to go out and survey that land and to do the work. And so when you do these surveys here, do you do that as well? Because not only is that very good for the communities, it's very good for training as well. And so is there an effort to do that?
Mr. Kelleher.
Mr. Chair, Representative Green, yes, I cannot tell you how many Native firms have been engaged in this work, but I do know that the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council is one of the partners on that oversight board that is involved in selecting and administering the projects that are to be done, and their partnership in this is invaluable. And you're absolutely right that the field of archaeology impacts Native people in a very large way, and Native people pay attention to what's happening with archaeology, and we work in partnership with the Native community, as does the state archaeologist and others doing this work.
Representative Green.
Okay, just a short comment, and then I'll be done, Mr. Chair. I know that the Indian Affairs Council is involved, and that's great. But if you could get me information, I would like to know if there are not just Native firms, but also people on the ground doing that. And that's just for me, basically, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Whitworth.
Thank you, Chair Lillie and Representative Green. I just wanted to add to that we also work closely with the tribal preservation officers around the state on these issues. And Avi made reference to a Museum Fellows program that introduces BIPOC people to the profession. I'm proud to report that about 2 years ago, we received a substantial grant from the Mellon Foundation that is aimed at Native American emerging professionals. And Representative Green, that gives us a great opportunity each season, each summer of the grant program, to bring in a group of Native American students to work with us and our partners to introduce them to the field and perhaps help launch their careers in public history and archaeology and other sub-disciplines of our public history work.
Well, thank you very much. I have one quick question. So with the sad situation that in Minneapolis with Mr. Floyd, I'm wondering if you're making an effort in preserving some of the history so we can learn and, historically to not, to grow from this as well and to record it. Are you making an effort to record that? Is it is something that I certainly hope you're working on?
Chair Lillie, we are, and we're in the process of both trying to document and then to work with other partnership organizations to collect the material cultural that'll help us interpret the events of the past year and for generations to come. And I can turn to Avi to talk just a little more specifically about a couple of those partnership organizations with which we're working.
Yeah, just real quickly, if you could. I'm sorry. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, we have a couple of things that we're doing right now. One is some of the typical work that we do around preserving newspapers and articles and photographs. In addition to that, we're building relationships with the Minnesota African American Heritage Gallery and Museum, as well as Hallie Q. Brown, who have been doing work around engaging with their communities and collecting artifacts. Most of that is being preserved in communities right now, as communities still interact and develop that. But part of the reason that we're working those relationships is so that we can support them in that and potentially take those at some point in the future to help preserve that history.
Thank you. And that's, yeah, it's super sad, but it's part of our story. I mean, unfortunately. So any final comments? Representative Wazlawik, thank you very much for carrying this and working on it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just want to share my appreciation for all the work that the Historical Society is doing. I'm a product of History Day. I was a History Day national champion when I was in high school. And I spent a lot of time in the library at the History Center working on those projects during high school. So appreciate the work that they do with history across the state, and hope that we can use this funding to spread some more nerdy history joy to other folks. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And with that, national champion Representative Wazlawik renews her motion that House File 1938 be laid over. Thank you very much, and thank you, presenters. And please, if our members do have questions, please be available for those as we go forward. And I know you will. That bill is laid over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Jordan, would you like to move your bill, please?
Yes, Chair Lillie. I move that House File 1266 before the committee and that it be considered for possible inclusion in an omnibus bill.
Thank you. And so we have this, your bill before us. Go ahead and tell us about it. Thank you.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present House File 1266, a bill that continues and expands the incredible work being done by the Minnesota Humanities Center. The Humanities Center collaborates with individuals, organizations, and communities to bring transformational humanities programming into the lives of Minnesotans. Using stories in the humanities as a catalyst, MHC produces, creates, and supports projects and programs that explore who we are as Minnesotans. And in October, the Humanities Center will celebrate 50 years. As many of you know, the Humanities Center has been carrying out its own programming with funding from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. They're also called on by us at the legislature to be a fiscal agent to distribute grant funds for various programs. But today we're here to focus on the Humanities Center's programming request. Their work is wide and diverse and includes programs such as Native Nations of Minnesota, Veterans Voices, community conversations events, and their work with E12 educators that includes educator institutes and professional development opportunities. And so here to further explain their mission and work and provide an overview of this request and answer technical questions members of the committee may have is Kevin Lindsay, the President and CEO of the Humanities Center.
Thank you, Representative Jordan, and welcome, Mr. Lindsay. It's been a pleasure to work with you through the years, and you're doing a great job here. Mr. Lindsay, welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Chair Lillie, appreciate that introduction and also appreciate the bill introduction, Representative Jordan. Pleasure to be with you and then the members of the committee today to talk about the Minnesota Humanities Center. We were founded 50 years ago. It was given in the introduction by Representative Jordan. Within the enabling legislation of the National Endowment for the Humanities, it says that the democracy demands the wisdom of its citizens. And we really seek to live into ensuring that our democracy is strong by providing information about culture, about civics, about who we are as human beings so that we can live up to the creeds within the Declaration of Independence and the highest aspirations within our Constitution. We seek a vision, a just society that is curious, connected, and compassionate. Curious in that we come to conversations with open hearts and open minds. Connected, as Dr. King would say, that we see ourselves tied into a garment of mutual destiny. And compassionate, that we're actually motivated beyond empathy toward action to realize justice in our society. We understand that when we connect the past, we better understand our present, and then we're also better able to spark change for the future that we all seek. And when we have an increased understanding, we are able to do that together as one. As Representative Jordan mentioned earlier on, we do this through a wide variety of different mediums, workshops, traveling exhibits, multimedia tours, lectures. We're in more and more conversations about documentary filmmaking as well. There is a thirst for stories, and I would echo my colleagues at the Minnesota Historical Society. People are very attuned at this moment in time of being able to tell their story and being able to share with one another. And we get so many requests to partner and connect with folks along and within those areas. Again, this is a high level 40,000. We'll talk a little bit about what we like to say as our 3 C's. The statewide programming, the traveling exhibits, we have the numbers here for you. I won't go into all of those respective details, but you can see that even though we had COVID impact our ability to deliver our program in person, we were able to make a transition and we were able to have Humanities to Go and leverage Zoom and other video technologies to be able to reach every nook and cranny of the state of Minnesota. We see ourselves leveraging what we learned because we also do appreciate what the changing demographics within our state and across our country is that being able to reach to people through means like Zoom is very helpful for folks that may not be able to travel about the respective state. The grant resource, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we seek to really leverage some of the dollars that we receive, legacy and do re-grants. And I like to think of it in the same way of creating a healthy ecosystem. So there are some that are very small humanities organizations, which we like to seed them some money with Innovation Lab grants. Some of the larger ones, we seek to provide funding to programs that otherwise ordinarily might not receive funding. And we like to think of that as sort of our absent narratives. So Native American stories, stories from the BIPOC communities that may not traditionally get funding, that this is an opportunity to kind of broaden that respective ecosystem. The ask that we have for the committee is to 1.25 million for each year of the upcoming biennium. So for a total of 2.5 for the Minnesota Humanities Center. And again, we see this in these three buckets of being a connector, bringing people which together, as a convener around a respective issue, and a catalyst as to sparking change within society. And that can be at a state, a local level, or even from Minnesota, thinking about as a North Star, sparking conversations across the respective country. In this connector one, and appreciating the time that I have, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I did want to pick out a couple. You will see We Are Water on here. This is a partnership with Department of Agriculture, Natural Resources, Health, and we also partner with the Historical Society as well. And we sometimes bring in some of the state ethnic councils and the Council for Indian Affairs within the space. It's a great example of information at the statewide level, but then we also meet with local officials, and the unique water issues are heard, and we create a traveling exhibit, and we bring people from those local communities to tell their respective story. The 360 journalism, which is also on here on this page, harkens back to the conversations that you just had with the Historical Society, where we've leveraged dollars from the Kellogg Foundation with our Truth and Transformation, taking a look at sort of racial bias and also creating inroads into the media field. This is a partnership with St. Thomas, in which we use 360 journalism to create pathways for BIPOC children to get into the field of journalism. The Council on Asian American Leaders, CAL, within this space, we had a 45th anniversary celebration of the Laotian and Cambodian secession fighting within Vietnam.
Mr. Lindsay, I'm so sorry, but we might have to have you back, but we just only have a few minutes. I don't know if there's any member questions, but keep going. I'm sorry.
Sure. So
my apologies.
No worries. I can take questions, and maybe I'll just weave in sort of some of the things which I was going to say within the respective questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. I just love what, especially that last piece where you talked about the partnerships. That's just exactly what we're trying to work on as a committee to try to expand that. And you're walking the talk and doing it. So thank you. Any member questions? I guess Representative Green, thank you.
I just will close it off. I think that you're going to lay the bill over. So
yes,
if there's any questions, I'm sure we could have them back. The only question I had was on the funding, how it compares to previous years. But I know the time is very short. So if he has time to answer that, that's fine. Otherwise, you can close her out, Mr. Chair.
Yep, I think you could get her in there. Yep. Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you, Representative Green, Chair Lillie, and members of the committee. Yes, it's a slight increase from the prior biennium. We see increased demand for the respective services that we're doing, and I'll tie into a comment that the chair made before the Historical Society. We have been working with community on how can we breathe. So we brought together artists, individuals, youth, elders in the civil rights area. We brought in meaning makers to examine issues from the African-American experience after the death of Mr. Floyd, seeking to be intentional in creating a new, stronger, forged union. We're also at the same time partnering with Open Doors. This is the federal courthouse's examination of issues that they have from time to time. One of the issues that they took on was the lynching in Duluth 100 years ago. Yeah. And the leading up to 1948 prior to Brown versus Board of Education. So partnering with scholars such as Duchess Harris at Macalester, or Professor Bessler at the University of Minnesota, or Judge Gergel from South Carolina on those respective events. So it is a slight increase, but we see a lot of demand for making sense of the world that we're in and also bringing us together. We really see this as being an important time for us.
Mr. Lindsay, and thank you so much what you do to I know, we're talking about your own programming here, and you also really help us out with grants, and that was set up before I started with Representative Erdahl and Representative Murphy, but, and we can get into that another time. And thank you so much for coming. Again, my apologies for being a little pushed, and I know you're totally open to questions, and but thank you.
Well, thank you, Chair Lillie. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Representative Jordan, any final comments?
No, Mr. Chair, the Humanities Center is doing great work to tell the story of who we are as Minnesotans and why our humanity matters, and I renew my motion.
Thank you. And with that, we have Representative Jordan's bill is laid over. And again, thank you everyone that's presented today. Just doing great work, and but very good questions. And again, all the presenters, please be open to helping out with questions if you can that are emailed or reached out to you. And again, thank you all the members, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.